Me and the team, Tanae and Raul, is here touring an apartment building in Austin. To have this under contract is something that we're going to be raising money for, but part of the contingency of the offer we put in on this apartment building was take a look at the foundation and seeing if it's something that we want to pursue with the current issues we know that's going on. So you're just kind of getting a live tour of us walking the apartment buildings, going into the actual units, they look like, and actually measuring some of the foundation issues, and as well finding out more just what the overall layout of the apartment buildings are. So joining in, of course, this is such a way how we continue to build a legacy through real estate, is literally learning and talking to professionals and networking, because real estate is a relationship business. So
sorry, what we are Clayton? Yes, sir. Clayton? Yes, sir. All the feelings are absolutely. Absolutely. So this side.
Right when you come in, you can feel it.
Yeah.
So Clayton, can you give me some idea on so what, when you put this on the ground, it's given some type of number. What does that number mean?
Right. Okay, it's an altimeter. It measures altitude, it measures it to a tenth of an inch. Where we place the stations, because when we walk into the unit, we don't know the high and we don't know the lows. Right. Okay. Right. So what the unit does, if you see, when I come over here, I have a button. We set the mark. We're going to zero it out again. Let it reset. Okay. So I'm going to press 0. You can kind of see it's going to hit 0 again. All right. So that tells us that's our 0 mark. Now the rest of the numbers are either going to be plus, minus, or 0 is right. Right. If it's a plus, it's higher. So it's lower. So what that told us over there, that spot was 2 inches and 1/10 lower than this spot. Right. So something's going down in that direction. Let's come over here. We're going to get this corner here. So this is telling us that more than likely this is going to be the high spot in the unit at each and 7/10.
But I thought you said 2 plus?
No, that's a minus.
That's a minus. It's a plus. Yeah. So this go up.
Now do the math. Plus 1/6 minus 1 point. That was 1.2, right?
Right.
Okay. So from here to there, we're going to be going from this spot. We're going down 2.9 inches. 3 inches.
From
This spot over there.
Right.
So we're going to go with it. And I'm pressing the numbers down real quick.
What is the common allowance? Like what's normal?
What is the common allowance?
Well, your structural engineers give an allowance of 20 linear feet in 1 inch. In this bigger sense, it appears that these structures are obviously, and again, this hasn't happened overnight.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have gone into some form of tilt. Okay, it's really difficult just to measure one unit to give you an evaluation on the entire structure. If you can get to a point where maybe one unit is really, but maybe one portion of this is whole, and it may actually create kind of a bowing effect.
Right.
And that's kind of not too common when you have steel I-beams, 12-inch steel I-beams underneath the structure like these have. Okay, it just really gets down to those builder's piers. Just over time, it's just kind of given up, the ghost to erosion and into water.
So is it almost to a certain extent that you can only kind of fix it to a certain extent because of that? Or?
Well, it kind of goes back to the design here. I mean, it was kind of a ticking time bomb when you really get down to it. I mean, they do boring samples, and more than likely they did boring samples here. And again, my real question, I just would love to know how deep these builders do. Guys, they only go 14 feet. I don't think that was probably a 3-story structure. These are heavy.
Right.
And with all this water runoff, that was my first concern when I got here, when I went down those lower units. Because anytime you have any kind of sloping structure, sloping hill coming off where the water runs down, it's usually those ones on the bottom that really take the hit. I don't even know what those units were conditions they're in, but they look pretty good, surprisingly.
The iron beams going down, if the water is sitting in one corner, maybe one of the beam may rotten up, right?
Well,
are we able to find so any of the beams start rotting up from the beam?
Okay, so I'm going to understand. The only thing that's giving here, the steel is fine. Everything I could see with the steel, there was no issues with the steel. The only thing that's really holding up the steel though are those concrete builder spears, because those go deep into the ground. And depending on how deep they go, obviously that would be probably the best case scenario in respect to they got them as deep as they thought the engineer had told them to go. Our company, we're owned by Groundworks out of Virginia Beach, which is foundation engineering company in America, and they're about a permanent fix. I mean, when we design something and we come in for repair, it's a one and done. And something like this is really going to be on the engineers. I'm going to provide them all the data and all the pictures, and what I come back with is pretty much going to come straight from the engineer.
Gotcha. So this is the front.
So it's on a hill. It's on a hill.
Yes, it is.
Oh, and so then there's stilts on the back of the hill or whatever you call that. Okay. Oh, wow, I see.
Yeah, basically
so it's on a hill. Oh, I see. Yeah, it's on a deep hill. Okay, got it. I'm glad you showed that vantage
Mhm.
point. That's a big deal.
Today, how many units here are?
So one has 297 apartments, and it's built in 1985. Because every time he kept saying it's 35 years old, I'm like, it is. 1985 was 35 years ago.
So basically, when the offer was put in, there was a contingency on this job right now, as far as looking at the apartment and if some of the foundation issues that we know about this apartment building can be fixed. And so right now, as we walk through, we have number one, who is one of the lease managers. We have Raul, who's probably going to be he's part of our team, and then also we have foundation specialist who's here measuring. So you'll see as we go into each unit, he is going in and measuring. And for those of you who kind of look at the recap, you've seen him explain that a little bit more in detail. Building a legacy through real estate, this is how we learn and understand, like, all right, when we go through these buildings and if we want to level up, we got to look for it. And this is literally a documented journey of saying, okay, does this make sense? Does it or does it not? And how do we learn more about it? So thank y'all for joining.
We have to see what they say and get advice from the right people, and then we'll know, we'll make an informed decision now what we can get for rents and all of that. So that's the point, is like, what's the cost going to be and how does that need to factor into the
and Clayton was just explaining one of the things for him is he take all the measurements and he give it to the engineers, and the engineers pretty much make that final decision on, hey, what needs to get fixed, the permanent fix, it won't be a temporary fix.